My sugar daddy got into a car accident and lost his memory, forgetting that I was his kept woman. I seized the chance to run away with my pregnancy. To give my baby the best of everything, I decided to sell off all the gifts Xavier had given me before. Red sold high heels from my ex-boyfriend, selling. A diamond-encrusted pen that my sugar daddy loved to use, selling. A gold ankle chain used for play with my first love, selling. A Birkin bag from my late husband, selling. Strangely, everything was snapped up instantly by the same buyer. Even when I secretly raised the prices, they still bought without hesitation. Until one day, I had sold off all the things. The mysterious buyer sent me another private message. Selling your profile picture? Will buy instantly if listed. I stared at that selfie, deep in thought.
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
When I rushed to Xavier's hospital room door, I heard his disdainful scoff from inside. Me? Amnesia? Have you all been watching too many TV dramas? Mrs. Xavier grabbed his hand. Do you still remember who we are? Xavier fell silent. I can't remember. Mrs. Xavier's eyes gradually turned red. She held Xavier's hand tightly, heartbroken. Your name is Xavier. You're the heir of Ming Song Group, and I am your mother. She wiped the tears from the corner of her eye. She slightly turned her body, winking at the girl behind her, and pushed her forward. This is your fiancé, Maggie. Through the crack in the door, I saw the bright-eyed girl step forward. She wore a khaki trench coat, blinked playfully, took Xavier's hand, and smiled sweetly. Xavier, how could you forget me too? It's okay. I'll stay by your side until you slowly remember me. Maggie. I remembered that name. At a party once, Xavier's good friends mentioned it casually. That Maggie girl has liked you since childhood, always chasing after you, shouting that she wants to marry you. She's waited for you all these years, and you still haven't given her a definite answer? Xavier chuckled, holding his glass. So many women chase after me. Do I have to marry each one? To be honest, whoever gets married is an idiot. He said those words while feeding me gelato with his hand. And I sat intimately in his lap, eating small bites from his hand, playing the role of an obedient kept woman, pretending not to hear anything. I had always known that Xavier was a staunch non-maritalist. He hated constraints and detested trouble. He was always impulsive. He would suddenly decide in the middle of the night to take a private jet to Switzerland for skiing with me. He would complain while pinching the soft flesh at my waist that he had never seen me in a bikini, then whisk me off to the Maldives. We kissed on snowy fields, embraced in jelly-like seas, like an intimate couple. But we never said, I love you to each other. Only a door separated us. Xavier frowned, examining Maggie, lost in thought. Seeing him silent for so long, Mrs. Xavier grew nervous, hinting, although you had a good relationship before, it's not right to keep making Maggie wait. Xavier, how about having the engagement ceremony next month? Xavier suddenly closed his eyes. He leaned back lazily. She doesn't seem like my type. Are you all playing a trick on me? Mrs. Xavier and Maggie's faces both stiffened. The tall man on the hospital bed spoke slowly. But since it was agreed upon before, set it for next month then. Hearing this, I finally breathed a sigh of relief outside the door. I lowered my head and touched my belly, showing no sadness, just a smile. Xavier didn't know yet that I was pregnant. We always used protection, but something must have gone wrong somewhere. When I first saw the 2 lines on the pregnancy test, my mind went blank. But my first reaction was, I wanted to keep this baby. Because Xavier and I had different views on marriage. Getting married didn't matter to me. But I had always longed to have my own child. Ideally, the father would have good genes. Handsome, tall, smart. Xavier fit all those criteria perfectly. At the same time, I knew clearly that this matter must never be known by Xavier. He saw marriage as a constraint. How could he accept a suddenly appearing child? He might even think I was trying to climb the social ladder. In short, Xavier would definitely make me abort it. I was already worried about how to end the contract with him when, at this critical moment, Xavier lost his memory. He forgot who I was. Was there a better time to leave than now? I decided to run away tonight. While Xavier was still in the hospital, I hurried back to the mansion on the hillside. Halfway through packing, the housekeeper came in, looking at me with difficulty. "Miss Zoe, are you running away? What should I tell Mr. Xavier when he comes back and can't find you?" If I just left like this, the housekeeper would be a risk. So I told her the whole truth. Mrs. Xavier has arranged his engagement, and the contract between Xavier and me has ended. He's lost his memory now and doesn't remember me. If you want to keep working here peacefully, never mention me again. Aunt Fong nodded vigorously, immediately understanding my meaning. Just in case, I took out my phone and transferred her a hush money payment. "Please keep this secret for me, Aunt Fong." As soon as I finished speaking, someone called me on voice chat. I pressed answer. A cold voice came through. "Who are you?" The car accident was too severe. Besides his head, Xavier also broke his phone. He never had the habit of adding notes to contacts. He was probably holding his new phone, matching the names on his list one by one. Damn it. I almost forgot that detail. I had a brainwave and answered in a strained voice. "Mr. Xavier, I'm your former maid. You fired me a few days ago because my cooking was terrible." This wasn't exactly a lie. Like other kept women with their sugar daddies, I had tried cooking for Xavier using online recipes. But I was really not cut out for it. The first meal gave Xavier food poisoning. He had diarrhea for 3 days straight and ended up in the hospital on N4. After that, he forbade me from entering the kitchen. Xavier didn't speak, as if puzzled by his past self. Was I such an idle person before that I even added my maid's WeChat? He paused, then asked, "Is that your profile picture? It feels familiar." My heart instantly leapt to my throat. I pretended to be calm and answered, "No, it's an internet photo." Xavier coldly ed and hung up. When I checked again, he had already deleted me. What a show-off. I curled my lip in disdain. My profile picture was taken by Xavier. He had bought a new camera on a whim, shouting about photographing birds, so he used me as a test subject. In the photo, I was asleep leaning against the flower stand in the courtyard. Although it was backlit and my face was a bit blurry, with gardening shears and a shovel at my feet, I did look somewhat like a maid. My gaze lingered on it for a moment. Without hesitation, I changed my profile picture. After triple-checking that all traces were erased, I walked out of Xavier's residence with my suitcase. The night scenery sped past outside the car window. Watching that villa grow farther and farther behind me, the heavy stone that had been hanging over my heart because of the pregnancy finally fell to the ground. I couldn't help but say happily, "Baby, we finally ditched that dog, Dad. Let's go, Mom's taking you home." In the blink of an eye, over 3 months had passed. At first, I was terrified that Xavier might remember something and suddenly show up. As time went by, I gradually relaxed. Every day, I lived in my own small villa, eating and drinking well, peacefully nurturing my pregnancy. But my girlfriends brought the latest news about Xavier. His condition worsened, so the Jiang family sent him to a scenic place for recuperation, postponing the originally scheduled engagement party. But I wasn't interested in these wealthy family gossip. My only focus now was on how to make money. Looking at my current situation, the amount I'd saved should be sufficient. But I wanted to give this child the best start. I'd heard before that international kindergartens cost 500,000 to 600,000 a year in tuition. I asked my sisters for good ideas. The group chat instantly lit up. Domineering Chris spoils hard. "Zoe, I told you I'd give you a house long ago. If you'd taken it, you wouldn't have these worries now." Victor's substitute girlfriend. "Even if you can't afford to raise it, we're here." I quickly declined. Zoe on the run with the bump. "No need, no need. Chris is my son. How about you live stream and talk about wealthy family gossip? Netizens love that. If you need material, I'll leak Leo's family secrets too." Stubborn Chris falls for me. Back when Chris went bankrupt, I sold all the bags and cars he gave me. If you're really worried, sell the stuff Xavier gave you to recoup some losses. My eyes lit up. That was a great idea. I immediately sorted out some things I could sell and listed them on a second-hand platform. I set a random price and fiddled with the listing process. Red sold high heels from my ex-boyfriend, selling. A diamond-encrusted pen that my sugar daddy loved to use, selling. The so-called ex-boyfriend and sugar daddy were, of course, the amnesiac one. Unexpectedly, as soon as I listed them, someone sent me a private message. ID, the rainy night when my wife ran away, messaged. Are you there? How new are the shoes? I replied instantly, only worn once to an event with my ex-boyfriend, minor flaws. Rest assured, guaranteed authentic, I have the receipt and box. The other party decisively bought them. After the transaction succeeded, I realized I'd added an extra zero. 20,000 turned into 200,000. This person must be a sucker, right? My heart raced with joy. I quickly recommended another item. Actually, this pen is also good. Spends small money to look wealthy, very cost-effective. I added flatteringly. Seeing how generous you are, you must be in business, right? The other side replied. Sort of, something happened at home, only pretending to be sick can pull through, my wife ran away too. I immediately decided to listen to the pain of his family first, then trick him into buying the pen. You must be very sad, right? Hug.jpg. What about you? He changed the subject. Why did you break up with your ex-boyfriend? I was full of question marks. Dude, aren't you being a bit rude? Shopping and worrying about the seller's love life. No wonder your wife ran away. I subtly fired back. He's not normal, just like you. If you're not buying, that's fine. It's late, I should rest. Good night. The other party seemed to sense my resistance and didn't reply further. I tossed my phone aside, put on a face mask, and ignored him. Before going to bed, I saw that the pen had already been bought. Still for the random number I entered. 100,000 exactly. The buyer was still rainy night guy. A private message came. Sorry, good night. You say he has no money, yet he snaps up 200,000 items without hesitation. But if he has money, why buy second-hand stuff? What a weirdo. But thank you, weirdo. I'll sell more tomorrow. The next day, I shipped the items rainy night guy bought first, and kindly offered free shipping. Today was my prenatal checkup day. My friend Sharon was worried about me going to the hospital alone and insisted on coming with me. In the white corridor, people came and went. The pungent smell of disinfectant seeped through my mask into my nose. I sneezed. Sharon looked at my outfit with disdain. From my hoodie to my mask, down to my skirt and boots, all black. Plus, black frame glasses perched on my nose. Zoe, you've changed cities to live, but you're still so afraid of running into Xavier? What pregnant woman dresses like a killer? It's impossible not to notice you. Stop cursing me. I quickly made a shoo gesture to her. And outside, try not to call my name. Sharon didn't know that to avoid any chance of exposure, I specifically switched to this private hospital for checkups. Although it was my first visit today and I hadn't registered yet. But I'd heard the environment was good, service excellent, and highly private. If someone came to check, they wouldn't easily disclose personal information. I'd covered every possible detail to the max. I firmly believed there would be absolutely no accidents. When we finally dawdled to the obstetrics entrance, two familiar figures suddenly appeared around the corner. Sharon and I stopped walking. 6 eyes met, all stunned. Sharon's husband, Chris, was helping Xavier walk using the hospital handrails. He looked at the words, obstetrics and gynecology, in surprise. Then at Sharon. Honey, why are you here? Damn it. What bad luck. I lowered my head as fast as possible. But I could still feel the gaze of the man with bandages around his head resting heavily on me. Sharon had said. To avoid triggering Xavier's memory, Chris and their friends hadn't mentioned my existence after he woke up. It made sense. Xavier was going to be engaged to Maggie. Digging me up now would be deliberately awkward. But at this moment, I wasn't sure if Chris recognized me. I didn't dare speak either, afraid to reveal anything. I could only bury my head lower and lower. Xavier obviously noticed the glaring obstetrics and gynecology sign and narrowed his eyes. This is the obstetrics department. Why do you think your wife is here? Unless there's another possibility. He didn't continue, his gaze falling on me. Sharon and I fell silent. I took a deep breath. My tightly clenched palms were sweating. 3 seconds later. Sharon and I spoke simultaneously. She's pregnant. I'm pregnant. Honey. You're pregnant? Chris was stunned for a long time. Xavier finally stopped looking at me. He curled his lips and patted Chris on the shoulder. With a kid, you probably won't be driving that Sound of Night anymore. Might as well give it to me. His tone was teasing, completely unaware that he was actually the father-to-be. My hanging heart dropped. But Chris suddenly picked up Sharon, so excited he was nearly incoherent. No, how could you only tell me something this big today? When did this happen? How many months? Boy or girl? How about Yen Shisher? Passers-by turned to look. Sharon punched him hard. I Shisher your ass, put me down first. But Chris was grinning, touching Sharon's belly and kissing her face without letting go. Even though Sharon had lied casually to cover for me, Chris didn't question the truth at all. He was wholeheartedly anticipating and welcoming the child. For a moment, I was lost in thought. This was how an expectant father should react. A wave of sadness washed over me, and my eyes grew warm. Baby. I'm sorry. Even though you won't have a dad, Mom will definitely double her love for you, making you the happiest baby in the world. I instinctively wanted to touch my belly. But feeling Xavier's gaze, I held back. Things being what they were. We had to leave today. I cleared my throat and continued acting. Sharon, since I've gotten you here safely, I'll head off first. I turned and walked to the elevator, pressing the down button. But a strong force gripped my wrist. Surprised, I looked back. Xavier had thrown away his crutches, dragging his injured leg to chase after me. Sweat beaded on his forehead from the pain of the exertion, but he held my hand tightly. Amid the bustling crowd, Xavier stared at me, his dark eyes like ink. My heart plummeted. I averted my gaze and forced calm into my voice. Who are you? I don't know you. Xavier coldly parted his lips. Liar. I caught you. He suddenly pulled off my mask. This was really the end. Xavier remembered. I panicked and covered my face. A cold voice rang out. How come you pretend not to know me now that you have a new employer? His voice was icy, not mentioning my running away at all. Ha! So Xavier hadn't remembered. He still thought I was the maid. I breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, I thought someone as important as you would have forgotten a nobody like me long ago. Wow, how are you hurt? I exaggeratedly covered my mouth. But why are you in Heischer for treatment? Xavier glanced at me. This is a hospital my family invested in. Damn capitalists. I almost fought them. Luckily I was prepared, or he definitely would have found out. Feeling relieved, I suddenly noticed that the photo on Xavier's lit phone screen was the one I had changed from. Recognizing me from a backlit photo, this guy's insight was terrifying. You're dressed like this, as if you're hiding from someone? Xavier asked casually. No. I retorted. I'm just a lowly worker. What enemies could I have? Right. That's best. But Xavier's next words nearly scared my soul out of my body. Zoe, I want to rehire you. He didn't say I'd like to. He said I want to. Two extremely powerful words, carrying an undeniable sense of oppression. As if I would unconditionally obey his orders. Seriously, bro? Playing along is one thing. But you really think I'm a maid? I turned him down on the spot. Remembering Xavier's words, I got furious and punched the sofa. Baby, did you hear what Xavier said today? He actually wants to enslave Mom. That's so unfair. Thinking I'd once been a little moved by Xavier made me even angrier. I put on a baby voice, mimicking my own response. Mommy, you're right, Xavier really isn't human. Just then my phone lit up. Rainy Night Guy on the other end had received the goods and just confirmed receipt. The money for the second-hand heels and pen arrived fresh and crisp. He acted so decisively. I could hardly believe my eyes. Instantly, I forgave him for prying into my private life. He spent so much money. Asking was asking, so what? If a god of wealth wants to know some gossip, that's an honor. I quickly listed 2 more items. Sure enough, Rainy Night Guy sent another private message. Are you there? The gold chain you used for play with your first love, I bought it. He accepted the second-hand heels, the pen, and now the gold chain? Happily, I replied to Mr. Acceptor. No, rainy night guy. Got it. But the other party was more interested in another question. What was this chain for, and could you teach me? Xavier had a lot of tricks in certain areas. Although he had a strong sense of service and often went along with my quirks. He was the type who wouldn't comfort me or stop when I cried and begged. The more intense I got, the more excited he became. Ceiling mirrors, high-rise floor-to-ceiling windows, hot spring waterbeds. Actually, the first thing Xavier brought home was a metal chain. We argued for a long time over who should be the one tied up. Later, Xavier compromised. He agreed to let me go first, but complained that my knots were ugly, saying I'd tied him up like a New Year pig. Skeptical, I asked him to show me. Who knew I'd be tricked so easily? Although the process was incredibly satisfying. My ankles were locked to the foot of the bed, rubbed red and itchy. So furious, I gave Xavier the cold shoulder for 3 days. That's when I learned I was allergic to metal and couldn't use that thing. Later, Xavier had someone make a pure gold one. In revenge, I wanted to use it on him once. But before I got the chance, I ran away. But what's wrong with this rainy night guy? The description was so clear. Is he an old man who can't even understand that? But he paid so much. Patiently, I explained it euphemistically. The waiting to ship notification sounded pleasant. I briefly forgot the bad luck of running into Xavier during the day. The doctor said pregnancy requires rest but also some exercise. Humming, I slowly strolled down to the small courtyard on the first floor. But after only a few laps, my stomach suddenly churned violently. Crap. Morning sickness. I hurriedly pushed open the courtyard door and reached over the outside trash can. Finally catching my breath, I lifted my head wearily. A slender, well-defined hand suddenly appeared, offering a pack of tissues. Thank you. I instinctively accepted. A slow, deliberate voice sounded in my ear. Zoe, fancy seeing you again. What a coincidence. It was Xavier. My hand froze in midair. Not sure if I should say haunted or coincidence. How could it be him again? I forced a smile, wiped my mouth with a tissue, and pretended to be relaxed. Yeah, what a coincidence. Lately the weather's been too hot. Food's hard to digest. You should be careful too, don't end up overeating like me. He nodded slightly, but showed no sign of leaving. I finally couldn't help asking. Mr. Xavier, running into each other twice in one day. Isn't that a bit too coincidental? What are you implying? Gritting my teeth, I voiced my suspicion. Could it be that you're holding a grudge because I rejected you, followed me all the way here? That's illegal, and I will absolutely never go back. Before I finished, Xavier suddenly pulled a keycard from his pocket. Leaning on his crutch, he slowly but calmly walked to the courtyard gate next to mine. With a beep, the gate opened. I was dumbstruck. Xavier waved the card, a teasing smile playing in his eyes. Zoe, is it possible that I live right next door to you? Seeing you unwell, I kindly came to offer tissues. His tone was relaxed, he sighed. Seems my kindness gave you the wrong idea. No, when I moved in, the landlord said the neighboring house was for sale? Did I misremember? I truly never expected Xavier to be my neighbor. My face instantly flushed hotly. My speech even grew stuttered. You weren't living in Ungshi. Why suddenly? Xavier said matter-of-factly. Haishur has beautiful scenery. Best for recuperating. This property was under my name all along. Why wouldn't I live here? Yeah. You're rich, you're awesome, Mr. Little Cripple whose head got slammed in a car door. Live wherever you want. Seeing that expression, a wave of anger surged inside me. Back in my room, I immediately changed all my social media profile pictures to evil-warding pomelo leaves. After discovering Xavier lived next door, I urgently started looking for a new place. But after browsing, either the locations were too remote or the layouts were bizarre. Then it hit me. I hadn't done anything wrong. Why should I move? Right now, he only thought of me as a fired maid. Even if he remembered something later, he was the one who declared he would marry someone else. He wouldn't do anything to me. I wasn't vain enough to think Xavier had fallen for me. In short, as long as I hid the pregnancy, everything else was manageable. Thinking this, I instantly felt justified. But suddenly changing my profile picture startled, Rainy Night Guy. Why did you suddenly change your profile picture? Recently harassed by someone annoying, warding off bad luck. Rainy Night Guy understood. Is it your ex-boyfriend? No wonder you're selling everything he gave you. You must really hate him. He clearly misunderstood. But I didn't plan to tell an online stranger about the pregnancy. I was about to end the conversation when Rainy Night Guy asked again. Actually, my wife left me because she hated me. Could you tell me, what kind of men do women usually dislike? Xavier's face instantly flashed in my mind. I typed furiously. Haunting, pretentious, thinking money lets them do whatever. He mused. Ah, money is a flaw too? Rainy Night Guy suddenly said. By the way, I figured out how to use that gold chain. A photo jumped into the chat. A man's pale wrist was loosely wrapped in a gold chain, the other end tied to a bedpost. I gasped. Because that wasn't the point. The reflection in the floor-to-ceiling glass opposite the bedpost vaguely showed the man's figure. Shirtless, broad shoulders and narrow waist, pecs well-defined. Further down, firm abs and striking V-lines. The photo didn't show his face or anything critical, but the subtle hints added a seductive allure. This physique was too amazing. I swallowed hard. My fingers involuntarily zoomed in on the photo, as if I could imagine the power beneath that muscular waist. An inappropriate thought popped into my head. Divine. Way hotter than Xavier's. Not sure if I'd been deprived too long. Thinking there was a stunningly handsome guy on the other end, my attitude towards Rainy Night Guy softened, but I wasn't trying to online date him. After that steamy photo, our chat frequency noticeably increased. When he occasionally sent emo messages, I was willing to kindly comfort him. When I changed my profile picture back to the selfie, Rainy Night Guy even joked, asking if my profile picture was for sale. I slowly sent a question mark. That morning, I went to the yard to sunbathe and unexpectedly saw Xavier lifting weights next door. His nearly healed legs stood on the ground. Recovered and already showing off? I couldn't help but recall what I'd said comforting Rainy Night Guy last night. Don't feel bad. Your wife will definitely come back. He asked why. I confidently answered. With pecs that big, abs that hard, how could she bear to leave you? Rainy Night Guy clearly paused. So you mean, you like my body? Me? Yep, way better than my ex's. That was half true, half flattery. But Rainy Night Guy wasn't comforted. Instead, he went silent unusually and didn't reply all night. Meanwhile, Xavier was grinding his dumbbells like crazy. Especially his gloomy expression. Icy cold. He didn't even notice me approaching. Who pissed him off? Mr. Xavier, I couldn't help but remind him. Your leg just healed. Isn't this too intense? I didn't want my kid to have a dad who crippled himself working out before birth. Xavier sneered. The dumbbell crashed to the ground with a thud. Thanks for the concern. He grabbed a towel to wipe his sweat, tone cold. But I'm in a terrible mood today. Don't want to talk. Nutcase. I shouldn't have asked. That night, Xavier knocked on my door unexpectedly. His face was flushed unnaturally, holding a thermometer, voice hoarse. Zoe, I have a fever, but no medicine at home. Could you take care of me tonight? Seeing I didn't respond, Xavier pursed his lips. 1 million. Seeing Xavier suffering, I suddenly remembered that time we were on a business trip together. Except the one with the fever was me then. It was Christmas Eve, snowing heavily in Munich, public transport nearly paralyzed. We waited over half an hour at Marienplatz, not a taxi in sight. Seeing me delirious with fever, Xavier wordlessly carried me on his back, trudging step by step through the snow. The old town's cobblestones were slippery and wet. He walked nearly an hour to find an on-duty clinic. Later, my fever broke. But Xavier's feet got frostbite from being soaked in snowmelt for too long. He limped painfully for weeks. He usually did extreme sports. Bumps and bruises were normal, but only that time made me ache inside. I cried endlessly by his bed. But Xavier didn't care, pinching my cheeks into a pig face, teasing me. Silly Zoe, tears are pearls. The more you cry, the more pig-like you look. If I ever end up crippled and can't support you, Just remember today, and don't abandon me. Who knew it would come true? He didn't get crippled. But I really did run. Whatever. This time, I wouldn't charge him. I sighed and helped him inside. The living room was pitch black, only a dim bedside lamp lit. I turned to leave. Xavier suddenly grabbed me. Where are you going? Don't touch me, I need to get medicine. I pulled my hand back. He murmured softly. Zoe, could you not be so harsh with me? I just worried you wouldn't come back once you left. Xavier suddenly being so fragile threw me off. So I replied stiffly. Relax, the 1 million isn't transferred yet. Guaranteed I'll be back. Xavier started coughing violently again. When I came back with the medicine, I watched him swallow it obediently. He leaned against the headboard, long lashes casting a small shadow on his pale face. Was I a terrible employer? You always seem eager to escape me. I paused, answering carefully. Actually, not really. You paid generously. We just didn't see eye to eye work-wise. Clean break, that's all. Since our views clash, no need to force it. He wanted to ask more, but I cut him off. I stood up to get water for him from the kitchen. In the dark, I accidentally kicked several cardboard boxes piled in the corner. Xavier instantly sat upright. His tone suddenly tense. Don't turn on the light. But it was too late. The moment the lights came on, I saw beneath my feet. A few days ago, when shipping to Rainy Night Guy, I'd wrapped the boxes tightly with cross tape for security. Now, lying on the floor were a few shipping boxes. The wrapping method was identical. I looked up, my gaze involuntarily locking onto the bedpost. I hadn't noticed earlier, but now I saw its style, position, even the window outline matched the photo from Rainy Night Guy perfectly. The one buying my stuff wasn't some rainy night when wife ran away. From start to finish, it was only Xavier. I took a deep breath. Countless overlooked details flashed through my mind. All the strange parts made sense once Xavier's identity was revealed. And every piece of evidence pointed to one conclusion. He never lost his memory. Seeing me silent, Xavier asked with concern, not realizing I'd uncovered his secret. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? He was still acting. It's fine. I pretended nothing was wrong and walked into the kitchen. Just a bit lightheaded. I pretended nothing was wrong and walked into the kitchen. But disgust filled my heart. Unwilling to marry, yet pretending amnesia, agreeing to marry Maggie. I was just a small-kept woman. If he didn't like me, why play mind games? Where would this game end? Me becoming his mistress? I couldn't guess. But it was truly disgusting. Once Xavier fell into deep sleep, I quietly pushed open the door. Tiptoeing into the yard, I dialed a number. The next day, Xavier's fever broke. He cheerfully brought breakfast to my place. As if feeling we'd grown closer. He sat at the dining table, pushing warm soy milk toward me, casually bringing up. By the way, you should avoid those second-hand platforms lately. They're sketchy. A friend of mine got tricked trading there, lost both money and feelings. His tone turned serious. There really aren't decent people there. You definitely don't start any online romances. My smile held no warmth. Really? Then the trickster must be truly scummy. Sensing my low spirits, Xavier tried hard to keep the conversation going, cherishing this rare closeness. Oh, and Sharon really is pregnant. I helped her contact top obstetricians, arranged full prenatal care. I pushed the soy milk back. Sharon already told me all that. I'm tired. If there's nothing else, please go. Xavier's smile stiffened slightly. What's wrong? Last night. We were fine. I didn't answer, just stood up and threw all the breakfast he brought into the trash. Xavier, playing Amnesia is your game. I'm not interested and won't play along. Get out of my house now. His face instantly darkened. Before he could speak, his phone rang. Maggie's clear, pleasant voice came through the speaker, piercingly sharp in the quiet living room. Xavier, did you hide from me by going to Heischer? If someone hadn't kindly told me, I'd never have found you. Humph. Just wait. I'm telling Mrs. Jiang, she'll drag you back tomorrow. Before she finished, Xavier expressionlessly hung up. You called Maggie. Afraid I'd overstay, So you specifically asked her to remind me of my status, and used her name to kick me out. Am I right? I didn't have Maggie's contact. But getting her number wasn't hard. This time, I didn't deny it. Instead, I met Xavier's gaze. You're right. So, shouldn't you hurry back to marry your fiancé? Xavier suddenly laughed softly. Zoe, I overestimated you. Someone tampered with my race car, wanted me dead, but that pain is nothing compared to the knife you stabbed in my heart. I never planned to marry Maggie. I even rejected her long ago. Pretending to agree this time was just to catch the traitor without raising suspicion. He stared at me, gaze steady. If I really liked her, why not get engaged sooner? You think I'm some clueless idiot? I hadn't found the right moment to explain, and you ran off. Xavier suddenly bent down, pulling the breakfast bag I'd thrown away from the trash. The trash bag was new that morning. But somehow a sharp object cut his palm. Blood instantly seeped from the wound. I instinctively frowned. Xavier seemed not to feel the pain. Seeing you sell those things, I thought you needed money. Who knew you hated me so much? Not even leaving a memento. Zoe, even after this, I still like you. Damn, I'm pathetic. He clenched the breakfast bag as if picking up the discarded version of himself. And then? You dismissed me with different values. From bed to everyday life. Where don't we match? Yes, you have heart issues, had surgery, but I knew that. I can handle my mom and Maggie. Even paid off your brother's debts. Zoe, what else are you afraid of? I stood frozen. Watching his bleeding hand, my heart swelled slightly, aching with bitterness. Xavier glared, red-eyed, stubbornly waiting for an answer. Finally, I took a deep breath, met his gaze, and spoke softly. Because you hate children. And I'm pregnant, Xavier. He seemed not to hear. Staring at me blankly. His gaze dropped, fixed on my belly. His throat moved. What did you say? Xavier struggled to recall. But we always used protection. How? His reaction was exactly as I expected. No joy, no anticipation. Just shocked and doubtful unpreparedness. My heart sank bit by bit. But I grew calmer. I know you never expected him, so I never planned to make you responsible. I spoke fast, defending. I'll have him myself. Give him the best I can. Don't worry. This child will have nothing to do with you later. I won't use him to threaten you. That's not what I meant. Xavier snapped back. He stepped forward, wanting to hold my hand, but cautiously withdrew it. So you were desperately selling second-hand stuff because of this? He fell silent. Lifting his head, his gaze at me was unusually resolute. He spoke word by word. Zoe, have him. And then? Let him be a forever illegitimate child. I smiled bitterly. You said you hate any form of restraint, don't want to marry anyone. Xavier's expression softened. Right, I hate unexpected things, hate trouble, never wanted a child. But if the surprise is about you too, I accept. You and the baby are no trouble at all. This belated promise struck deep in my heart, rippling outward. I looked up in surprise. Xavier gazed at me tenderly, speaking earnestly and solemnly. You're not my cage. You're the harbor where I dock. He lowered his head, a little ashamed. Proposing now is too rushed, but the flowers you love, the ring, all the romance you dream of, I'll recreate it carefully, nothing missing. Zoe, marry me. Please. Warm liquid trailed from the corner of my eye. I hurriedly wiped it with the back of my hand. Don't cry when Xavier proposes. Zoe. It makes you seem easily moved. I took a deep breath. Finally held it back. He cupped my face, cautiously kissing me. Softly said, I love you. All right. Couldn't hold back at all. Ending. On the day of the car accident, the racetrack reeked of gasoline and burnt rubber. When Xavier opened his eyes, his body was jammed in the cockpit. Thick liquid oozed from his wounds. Leo dragged him frantically from the wreckage, slapping his face hard. Hey, you conscious? Don't fucking scare me. Damn it. Who is this guy? Spirit from hell? Was fine. Now he's gonna slap me to death. That kid hung up on 120, then sobbed as he called someone else. Leo, Xavier doesn't recognize me. You think he's seeing his life flash? Guys, prep the funeral stuff, wah? Wanted to kill someone. Wait. Who is Xavier? He suddenly realized his mind was blank. He remembered nothing. Was he Xavier? And where was this? During the brief memory lapse, Xavier numbly took out his phone. The screen was shattered beyond recognition. But when it lit up, he could barely make out a woman. Sunset. Breeze blowing. She wore a white dress, asleep against a flower stand. Wild strawberries tangled upward, sprouting bright red fruit, weaving a sweet dream. So beautiful. So in love with her. This must be his wife, right? Just one look felt so deeply loving. Memories gradually returned. Even if she had heart issues and couldn't join his extreme sports, just sitting beside him clapping. So in love. Even if her cheese noodles were awful, poisoning him for 3 days. So in love. Even her pinned against the bathroom wall, cheeks flushed, gasping lightly. So in love. It was love that made him want to hold and kiss her each time he saw her. Xavier remembered everything. She was Zoe.